Alexander Graham Bell, Christopher Columbus, George Washington. You've probably all heard of these men, right? What about Hedy Lamarr? Jean Barré? Noor Inayat Khan? I'm going to assume you haven't heard of these names before, but why not? These women were also inventors, explorers, and soldiers, just like the men I mentioned earlier. Why is it that we haven't learned about their contributions? Think about where we would be without Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and the GPS systems. We'd be living like my parents, physically going to the library to research something instead of just Googling it, or looking at a map book while driving when you're lost, or even listening to 10-minute ad breaks on the radio instead of having the perfect playlist blasting your favorite tunes. Man, how did people survive? We can access so much information in seconds because of these inventions, but have you ever stopped to wonder who created this technology that we take for granted? Some of you may recognize the name Hedy Lamarr, but you may only know her from her most notable role as Delilah in the 1949 movie Samson and Delilah. But did you know that she was also an inventor who heard about the Navy's difficulties with radio-controlled torpedoes? This led to her pioneering the basis for today's Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS systems. She was finally recognized for her contributions in 1997, 50 years after World War I and 3 years before she died. Jean Barré was the first woman to circumnavigate the globe. From 1766 to 1768, Barré was a member of Louis-Antoine de Bougainville's voyage aboard the ships La Boudeuse and Étoile. Barré is credited with becoming the first woman to complete a round of the world using naval transportation. However, in order to do so, she was forced to disguise herself as a man and join the expedition as Jean Barré. Shortly before Bougainville's ships left from France, Barré enrolled as a valet and assistant to the expedition's naturalist, Philibert Commerson. According to Bougainville's descriptions, she was an excellent botanist. Isn't that amazing? I think we should talk more about her research, and her accomplishments. Now, I've told you about Hedy Lamarr and Jean Barré, but I still haven't told you about Noor Inayat Khan, or should I say Princess Noor Inayat Khan. Her great-great-great-grandfather was the 18th century Muslim monarch of Mysore. She was one of Winston Churchill's top British female spies and the French Resistance's first radio operator. Noor Inayat Khan escaped the Gestapo only to be betrayed, tortured, and killed at Dachau concentration camp after refusing to divulge any information. Liberté, she said, as the firing squad lifted their firearms on September 13, 1944. 70 years after Khan's death at the age of 30, Princess Anne unveiled a statue in her honor in London on November 8, 2012. The bronze bust honoring Britain's sole female Muslim war hero is the UK's first standalone memorial dedicated to an Asian woman. Hey superhero filmmakers, how about you give us a princess who can kick some serious butt while still defending her country, instead of one who just sleeps her life away and waits to be rescued? Looking at you, America's biggest animation studio. Khan is not the only Muslim princess who thought and acted outside of the box. Princess Walada bint al-Mustakfi of Cordoba, Spain, was a brilliant poet during the time of the Umayyad Caliphate. During this time, women were scribes and copyists, working for the caliph's officials and studying the Quran and Hadiths, which are sayings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family. They also studied history and religious law, and poetry was a big part of Cordoban culture. Princess Walada competed against male poets in poetry competitions, where the goal was to provide endings to uncompleted poems. The winner was determined by whose poem was thought to be the best. Princess Walada then went on to use her riches to establish a women-only school of poetry in her father's home. This improved the economic status of many middle-class families in the city. I can't believe I didn't know about her until I did my research for this very topic. Education has the power to inspire, influence, and illuminate, but often it's not inclusive. We leave people out. We omit historical facts. We bend or stretch the truth. We pass over stories of people who may not think or look like us, or believe in the things that we believe in. In Canada, the last of the residential schools closed in 1998. But the Ontario school curriculum did not teach students about the atrocities taking place until 2019. Think about how many hundreds of thousands of students that graduated and left the school system without ever knowing the history of Indigenous peoples, the contributions they made to Canadian society, and the sacrifices and tragedies they endured. But education also has the power to improve. We can grow our school curriculum to be more inclusive of women and people of color, of non-Eurocentric civilizations, of people who have made significant contributions to society but have been overlooked for far too long. Let's remember these rebel women whose courage and insights allowed us to make discoveries that are integral to our society today. Women like Hedy Lamarr, Jean Barré, Princess Noor Inayat Khan, and Princess Walada bint al-Mustakfi. Thank you.